My name is Ren. Welcome to my presentation. Thank you so much to Pottstown Area Artists Guild for this honor, letting me talk about my art. I have 98 slides. So I'll be sharing with you my art, a lot of the things that I've known, my experiences, how I got to painting, and how I got to where I am right now with art. So I'd like to start my presentation with this quote. It's one of my favorite quotes. Art is human, error is human, just like the errors that we're having here. And art is error. I really love this quote because it reminds me of the core of what art truly is. Art is the beauty that comes from those errors, and every part of the errors that you make help you become the artist that you're meant to be. So my name's Ren. I work as a nurse at the hospital. I've been with Tower Health System since 2011, so I've been with them for 14 years. And I still work as a nurse, and I'm pursuing painting at the side. I am mostly self-taught. I did take a bunch of courses, and I learned a lot through YouTube videos, learning from books and experimentations. I'm not good at technical terms for art. Like I don't know what the difference between a core shadow and a cast shadow. A lot of my work has always been intuitive and emotional, and also spontaneous. That's always been my art, and it remains that until now. So here are some of my accomplishments. I'm a studio artist at the Goggleworks, and I'm a member at Art Plus Gallery. I have won 3 awards. Best in Landscape in 2023 and 2022. I didn't win any last year and this year, but that's okay. I have multiple prints collected by 2 organizations at Penn State Hampton Medical Center in Enola, PA, and Cho Plastic Surgery in Wyomissing. I have over 50,000 followers and subscribers across all of my social media platforms. My originals have been collected throughout the United States, and my prints have found home in 5 countries. And I also had my first solo exhibit earlier this year at Wilson High School, and my artworks have been in publication and media. So why am I here today? I'm here to share my art, my process, my creative knowledge. We're going to take an in-depth look at the techniques that I've learned. I'm going to be giving you some tips and tricks for you to do, and hopefully, you'll gain a lot of insight and knowledge from that, and take them into your own artistic creative practice. And why do I paint? My reasons for creating. It's just like an intrinsic desire to paint or create. A lot of my coworkers ask me Ren, why do you paint so much? And my response is you don't have someone why do you breathe? You need to breathe to sustain life. And for me, I feel like painting and creating helps sustain my soul. This is one of my very first paintings that I've kept. So it's really nice to reflect and see where I've come. I usually paint just whatever inspires me, so nature, emotion, color, light. The more dramatic, the better. So what is a master? This is the ChatGPT or AI definition of a master. Someone who achieved exceptional skill through practice and study, someone who could create, teach, and analyze with clarity and depth, and someone who developed mastery. For me, the definition of a master is someone who demonstrates excellence in their craft, materials, and execution. They create or help create innovative standards that become innovative techniques that become the standards and influences the present and future generations. But most importantly, what I think is a master is someone who have helped the world see in a different way. I believe every one of us have the ability to become a master or at least achieve excellence. It requires persistence, dedication, and constant action. And I hope my presentation presentation will inspire you to achieve that. Here are some of my masters that I admire and that have helped me inspired my art. So Vincent van Gogh, everyone knows them. Aaron Hansen, Talia Stanton, and Peter Wellman. They are kind of my self-appointed mentors, and in my artworks you can see their influences on my current work. So the outline of the presentation is, they call it the Heiress of My Art. I love Taylor Swift, so I had to do that. So the last minute gift giving era, which was from 2011 to 2013, learning from the master's era, and then the dedicated artist era, which is now. And I'm also going to be giving you tips to help excel your artistry and help pave your way to your mastery. I divided that in creating, marketing, and selling. So era number 1 is the last minute gift giving era. It's defined by painting in acrylics, finger painting, painting from memory, and also sharing creations freely online, like no pressure, just joy and exploration. So this is a painting from 2010. I made this while I was in nursing school. I painted this from imagination. I used acrylics. You can see a lot of fan brush. At this time, I was very inspired by Bob Ross, so I kind of emulated him. This is a sort of abstract, intuitive painting. I honestly don't remember anymore how I painted this, but I remember I would just brush over the canvas repeatedly until an image comes up, and kind of I don't know, didn't really have a plan. So I just painted intuitively. The beautiful thing about intuitive paintings is that it's very spontaneous, but you also have to be careful that you don't have anything there that you don't want. So ghostly figures or scary faces, that can happen with intuitive painting and abstract work. So that is both the magic and the danger of it. A lot of people point out that this reminds them of lips, and that she doesn't have any lips. So people were making different stories of their own. So I really like this painting. And then 2012, I used finger painting. That's how I could make those kind of gradation and motion. I remember I would use my palm as my palette, and I would just put the acrylic on and then just smudge it and then do that. I don't remember being really good with the paintbrush. It was so easy to create dynamic swirling effects with the sweep of several fingers. I would also like to dab. So I was already doing kind of textured and impasto kind of techniques. It was messy, spontaneous, and incredibly freeing. And a lot of the work I made during this time was last-minute gifts. I was terrible at time management and prioritization, so acrylics dry so fast, so it was really nice. Oh, I forgot your gift, so here, let me just make one, and here you go, here's your painting. And this is one of my favorite ones from this era. I remember I just started creating an abstract background, and then I kept layering on top of it, adding paint, and then wiping it away with my fingers, and then blending it again. And then I remember doing some opaque brushwork to kind of make that dark again, and then just smudge that to make the gradation. I did a lot of side profiles because I didn't really know how to draw, and you don't have to worry about the other eye. You don't have to worry about symmetry or anything a lot of my work. And I'm going to share, for each era, I'm going to share my wins, my struggles, and some tips for you to try on your own artwork. So my wins here is that I created art, and it's always so bravely shared my artwork on Facebook to all of my Facebook friends. I was already getting feedback and criticism. I did it so much that it became kind of second nature for me to share what I created. And I created by imagination and was led by intuition. I thought at the time that they were amazing. A bit of delusion always helps with your art. And also, like, ignorance is bliss sometimes. Because I thought this was, like, amazing. And now that, the more knowledge and experience you have, you kind of see where the flaws were, but I created for fun. Yeah. Struggles and failures, I wasn't consistent, but I was also in nursing school. I also didn't think I'd be able to draw. I thought at the time that you were kind of born with it or you always knew. I didn't know until later that it is a skill that you can learn. I wanted to paint realistically, but I couldn't, and I didn't take any courses or classes, and my colors became kind of drab and dull just from the over blending and the over mixing. So techniques and things for you to try from this era is paint with your fingers, but only if you're using acrylic. Don't do that with paint or with oil. I'm not sure if that translates to watercolor. Probably not, right? And also choose colors randomly from a bunch of paint in front of you. Just like, close your eyes, grab this, grab that, this and that, and then make it work somehow. That's still a practice that I still do today. And that helps you kind of make unlikely combinations and also helps you break from your color comfort zone. If you look at your work and you see, oh, they're all blues or they're all yellows, that would be a great way for you to break from your comfort zone, basically. Another thing you could try from this era is you could close your eyes and paint the image that comes into your mind. Just no references, and just do that. If nothing comes up, you could try like a random word like serenity, sadness, joy, and just paint what you could see. I think this helps you kind of break also from the reliance of a reference photo. I mean, a reference photo is great, but it's a great also technique to kind of, try something else and, you know what I mean. Give them as a gift for a friend or family. Creating art grows when it's shared, and post and share what you create without any expectations. So this is era number 1, which is pretty quick. So does anyone have any? Era number 2, which is around 2015 to 2019. A lot of this area I learned from the masters. I immersed myself in books about my favorite artists. I studied their lives, their techniques, and the materials that shaped their work. I also asked deeper questions like, who inspired them, who did they learn from, and where did they go to school? How did they obtain materials? My home studio and art studio are filled with art books. I always have a source of inspiration handy at any time, and you can gain so much insight from their lives and their experiences and how it affected their art. For example, I read a book called The Painting Methods of Impressionists back in 2015, and I still carry a phrase of wisdom to this day from the book, and I'm paraphrasing here. So a practice that a lot of them do is when you set up your color palette, double the amount of paints you think you need, and then find a way to make it work into your canvas. So that is a practice that I still do to this very day. I do end up wasting a lot of paint because I overestimate, but it's still, it's okay if your paint doesn't get used. It's better that at least I would create a very textured or beautiful painting. So I really, really like that, and that resonated with me, and I still keep doing that to this very day. I went to a lot of museums to absorb masterpieces firsthand. It is completely different seeing artwork on a phone or in a book or a filter compared to seeing it in person. On screen, everything is flattened, but standing in front of the actual piece, you get to see and appreciate the colors, the textures, and the subtlety that they had intended, the artist had intended. And I reflected on works, on why certain works endure and what makes them worthy of a museum wall. And it made me reflect, like, if your art's not in a museum, does that mean you're not a good artist or you're not a good painter? So those were the questions that I kind of were mulling over. And I have grown, by visiting museums, I have grown a love and appreciation for museums, studying art, reflecting and analyzing other artists' works. Yeah. And then I created master copies of the painting that I admired. Who here has done a master copy?
Copies of another artist?
No, like a master or another artist, sure.
Yeah. Monet.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that is a master copy. Yeah. Just you, no one else. Okay. So I highly recommend it because you learn so much more. It's like you're actively learning if you're copying it instead of just passively looking at it. So the reasons why master copies are so important is you get to understand the decision making of the artists, and you also get to see subtle shifts in color, light, and also composition that most people overlook. You could also understand the composition. Great art has structure, and copying it teaches your brain how to build balanced and powerful images. It's like, I always say that masterpieces, the artist hid a cheat code in there, and it's your job to find it and use it in your work. Studying a masterpiece jumpstarts your own development more than a random practice ever could. So I highly recommend them, at least doing 1 or 2 or 3 of the master copies. This is one of the very first one that I did. I wanted to copy Wheat Field with Cypresses by Van Gogh. And you could already tell there's a big difference from my art now compared to the previous era. The colors are brighter, there's more brushwork, and there's more dimension, and there's more movement. It's not close at all, but for someone who at the time didn't have any formal art training besides like high school, this kind of altered like my brain chemistry, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like I can paint like this. I don't have to paint realistically, which I struggled, and this is totally, completely acceptable. You can see where I tried, like these red blobs are like right here. This swirly thing here is like right there. So I really loved it, and I decided to do it again. And it's like a massive improvement, I think. Like in this slide, I didn't even bother to try and replicate this tree. I was like, that's too complicated. That's too much work. I'm not going to do that. But I gained so much confidence and knowledge this time around to try. It helped me so much with my observation, my composition, and also my efforts. So I highly recommend doing master copies. And the goal actually for a master copy is to copy it exactly just like the painting. But if you can't do that, then that's it's totally fine. It's the beauty and the effort and the knowledge that you gain from doing that. And my third master copy, Poplar near Noonan. You can see I didn't bother the people and the yes, yeah, I didn't even try. I tried. This was my best attempt, actually. But the colors are off. There's some missing parts, but that is totally okay. Yeah. Someone said these look like bees or something, or like beehives, and I was like, okay, whatever. Um, Eventually, I kind of moved on beyond master copies and began blending the elements of my favorite painters into my own voice. Because you don't want to kind of just be a copycat. You eventually kind of want to put your own vision into your own art. So that's what I did. So this is Peter Wellman. I loved his abstracted landscapes. Um, his colors are beautiful. He respected light and painted, and based on the lighting. And there's me trying. Mine looks very flat. There's no light. There's no light source. I was really obsessed with the way he abstracted things and how he painted. So this was my attempt at kind of following his footsteps, but not really copying his work. And then this is Aaron Hansen, who is a contemporary painter. And this is my take. This is Why Missing Park. I just kind of leaned heavily into Impressionism. I learned oils around this time, just very basic knowledge in oil, and I just kind of learned from, I think I was mostly inspired by her work and her colors, so I kind of wanted to emulate her. This is one of my earlier pieces around this era. The title is inspired by a Taylor Swift song. I just kind of envisioned a stormy and turbulent landscape. I would start kind of abstract first with like loose gestural brushwork, and then I would build a landscape somehow. Like there's this sun right here, and these are supposed to be like mountains. And then kind of go back and forth abstract and also landscape, and then abstract and landscape. I would use impasto techniques, and I used like a lot of dabbing colors and dabbing motions to paint. So this was back in 2016. And then in 2018, I made this painting. It's kind of, I didn't have a reference photo for this, but I just wanted to capture like the essence of flowers moving in a field, or kind of like a windswept motion. So that's kind of what I did here. I used more brush. I used different kinds of brushes to get different kinds of effects. And then I feel like for these, I kind of just rubbed my finger to kind of soften and smooth it out. And then I would do like impasto techniques here, just like dabbing, just grabbing like a thick blob of paint and then just dab it. So it's one of my favorite paintings. And then I also took some courses. This was one of their reference photos, and I'm actually very surprised that I was able to paint this because it's really good. There's like different depths to it. There's some glazing techniques. Or lotus flower to save my life. So that's what it looked like. I used a lot of impasto and texture to kind of mimic the scales. And I really like this kind of glazing effect, and it looks like they're underneath. There's like a different kind of abstracted koi under here. Glazing effects here, more glazing effects here. Glazing effects here, and glazing effects here as well.
When you glaze in acrylic, is it the same as in watercolor, where you let the first layer dry and then put the second layer on?
Yes, yep. Because otherwise it will just smear. And the thing with acrylic is that it dries so quick, maybe even like 10, 15 minutes. So you could like do the glazing right away. For glazing, I would use water for acrylic. There are also like glazing mediums. that you could use for acrylics as well.
Is it a clear, like,
Yes.
it's a clear coating to the paint that you've put down?
Yes. Yep. But it's like selective coating. So like here I only coated this part, like, and I let the rest of this kind of. So this started out as the same kind of color, kind of, and then I feel like I did kind of purplish or dark blue glazing with some water, and that's just kind of how it pushed it down, separate from this one. Yeah. And then I took other courses. This is Seaside Reprise. I forget the teacher or the course that I took, but I kind of really leaned heavily on impasto and impressionistic techniques here. You can see that these mountains at the distance are of different value and of different color. So it kind of separates it from the rest of the more forward mountains. And also this one too, like it's a little bit different as well. So my wins from this era, I kept creating. I kept sharing my artwork. I expanded my knowledge, and I took a few courses. I also tried to join Art Plus Gallery at this time and submitted some pieces for exhibits. And I got rejected.
What is Art Plus?
So Art Plus Gallery is it's a co-op artist group in West Reading. We have 25 members. We all share like a small gallery space, and we display artwork, basically sell artwork. Yes, yep. All the members vote you in. So for Art Plus Gallery, I actually was waitlisted. They gave me excellent critique, which I've never received ever, because all I did was just post on Facebook, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, you're so good." So, they didn't. They were very supportive and very nice, but
Oh, you had some taste.
yes, yeah. But I remember they said that my paintings kind of leaned blue. A lot of them were all kind of blue, which some of them thought that was a strength, some of that thought was a weakness, and that I didn't have enough work at the time, which is true. I probably only had like 10 paintings. I probably would only create art like once every 2 months or something like that, because I was working full time at the hospital as a nurse, and I was also going through nursing, finishing up my bachelor's in nursing. So they were very right with their critiques. Like I just didn't have enough artwork and volume, because Art Plus Gallery, they change their art every 2 months. So you're constantly pushed to create and create. But to me at the time, that was the first time that I got like a professional, established artist critique, and I thought that felt like a rejection to me. So I was like, I'm not even gonna pursue it. And I did try for juried exhibits, and they were also denied. But at least I tried, and I put myself out there. And then I realized, okay, maybe there's something missing or something wrong that I'm doing in my paintings, and I could improve more. So struggles, inconsistency and lack of focus. A lot of people did give me advice to pursue art and to take it seriously, but I ignored them. And I treated rejection as an invalidation of my art and my skills. So tips and techniques for you to try from this era is you can create 2 or 3 master copies from your favorite artists. Read a book about your favorite artist's life. Dissect your favorite painter's work. Ask yourself, why do I like this? Why does this resonate with me? Is it their brushwork? Is it their composition? Is it the lines? Did they create something innovative? And also find the negatives in their work. Like no one's art is perfect, or no one's art practice is perfect. Like I said at the very first quote, error is art, or art is error. So find that and make that, kind of learn from their mistakes, refine where they fell short, and you'll evolve even further. You could also incorporate elements of their work into your own style. So like borrow a color palette, their brushwork, their texture, or their compositional idea, and mix it with your own voice. There's a book, Steal Like an Artist. I don't know if you guys have read that or know about it. It's a great book. I think someone said that like good artists copy and great artists steal. Was it Picasso or something? What's that?
Most famous artists have stolen,
Oh yeah, yeah.
copied. And if they're contemporaries, it's
Yeah.
a constant competition.
How could you not like compare yourself to them? You know, or how could you not, you see their work, it's kind of like a give and take with
Well,
art,
a lot
I
of them
think.
said that they didn't want to be. They tried to escape that.
Yes, and especially now with social media, everyone's artworks are everywhere. It's really hard not to compare yourselves and see, oh, this person's successful or this person's making a lot of money. So why not try what's successful, you know? Also apply to gallery exhibits and join a group, which you guys already are. Study their failures. You can learn so much. You don't have to go through, the pain and the suffering. And that's also why I'm sharing all my mistakes and my errors with you guys. And visit a museum and bring a sketchbook. I actually have. Hold on. So I would go to the museum and I would take notes. So you can pass this around.
Usually an art class that you take, they go to the museum to copy.
Yes,
You
yep,
usually see students there,
yep. So that's great, yeah.
because they're learning how to get the shapes. And how to get
Yeah. Yep. Also teaches you the importance of reference photos too. It's just you learn so much. So yeah, that's it. And then now we're in the third era, which is the present to now. And we're not even halfway on the slides, so I hope you guys are okay and you're not bored or anything like that. 2020, I joined the Goggleworks Center for the Arts, and I'm really happy to be a member there. It honestly felt like the home that I've needed, because I just, made my artwork at home. It's kind of lonely being an artist. You're on your own. So being around like-minded people and always creative stuff happening, like it was great. It was really good to be in that environment. And then COVID hit, and that's me. And as a nurse, I was actually one of the very first nurses to take care of a COVID positive patient at the Reading Hospital. So it was, extremely scary. Policies and treatments changed every day. And I will never forget how we gowned up frantically from head to toe. We were all nervous and paranoid, and we didn't know what was going to happen. I would wash my hands until my hands would crack just from the dryness and, just hand washing. So I would have little cracks on my knuckles from that. And I became best friends with my N95 mask and my surgical mask and also this face shield, because I remember we had to keep them for weeks or maybe months because we were running low on supplies. So I became best friends with them. But I will never forget working with an amazing healthcare team and how we saved lives and how we honored and cared for those who didn't survive. And this is the main reason why I kind of just want to paint pretty and emotional things, because I've seen like the worst things in life. I've been exposed to different kinds of body fluid, blood, saliva, vomit, urine, feces. So painting is kind of like an escape. It's for me to heal and for me to recover, basically. So around this time, I painted a lot of landscapes. I would do like 2 paintings a week of landscapes in impressionistic. Um, I kind of also leaned on social media because everyone was in lockdown. So there's TikTok. Let me see if this plays. So I kind of started doing time lapses and then sharing them to social media. Oh. All of my favorite painters painted in oil, so I was like, I wanna join the bandwagon. What am I missing? I just felt like their colors were so lush and beautiful, and like I couldn't quite capture them in acrylic. So I was like, okay, let's join. So I took courses in oil. I watched YouTube videos and I read books about handling oil. So I kind of learned also a lot about filming, doing experimentation with different softwares, cameras, transitions. Social media is great because you can infuse your artworks with videos, music, and story. It also proves to them that you're the one who made the artwork, not AI or not a computer. And yeah, everyone's using this, using short form or long form content with their art. I honestly feel like these days, seeing a photo on social media is just not engaging enough. Your posts will kind of drown under more engaging and more visually entertaining content. Um, and that's also why, kind of, if you're on social media, they kind of want you to stay. That's the goal for you, is to stay on the app and spend time. So the more entertaining, the more engrossing, the more engaging content you have, the better.
Did you teach yourself how to do that?
Mm-hmm.
Filming yourself there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Paint
My goodness.
my hand and doing that. Yeah.
I mean,
You could also do a tripod, yeah.
you're holding the
Mm-hmm.
camera.
The camera. Yep. I also have a tripod too. So that works too. Um, so that's kind of the process of how I work. It's like very spontaneous. I'm just randomly painting wherever. I For this painting, I would have a reference photo, but I don't strictly follow it. And like you can see, like I'm the camera angle is off because
You see, I mean, you were copying something,
Mhm.
but you see before you start dabbing, or it's coming as you.
kind of both. Kind of sometimes I see the color, or I try to.
Now, if you feel that you put too much blue over there or too much green over there,
Yeah, then I would adjust.
you
Yeah.
go back and
Mm-hmm. Yep.
look at it.
Step back,
Yeah.
look at it, see what's going on, and then, fix it or wait another day to paint and then try again and see, do I like this color? Should I try again? So yeah.
You're obviously left-handed.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I guess it would work either way.
Yeah. Yeah. You just have to make sure that what you're filming can actually capture where your hand is. As you could see, like my hands were all the way up there. So, I mean, that's just something you learn and, you experience. I Around this time I joined the Milan Art Institute's mastery program. It is an online program that teaches artists the basic fundamentals of drawing, painting, collage, and mixed media, and all the way to kind of production and kind of a business and a professional artist. And their goal is to help you kind of create your style. And a lot of the work that they do or encourage is kind of mixed media. and kind of basically they help you find your own voice. They help you figure out your painting or creating style. You are grouped into a cohort and you're assigned a mentor if you would like. I credit this school for a significant part of my knowledge and my improvement, but I never finished. I kind of abruptly left, which I will explain in a little bit, and then I kind of disappeared. So this is one of the charcoal studies that we did. So you can see the form here. This is a statue in France, I think in the Louvre. It's the Winged Victory of Samothrace. It's like a 200 BC sculpture. And then they kind of teach you to kind of abstractify the elements or do something fun or do something different. This is another charcoal study that we did. And I finally learned how to draw thanks to this school. So kind of they start you like with the smudging, like do a mid-tone of your charcoal, smudge it around, and then do the guiding lines, and they tell you how to measure so it's accurate. I forget what the tool is called, but it's like a long something caliper kind of thing. So you would measure the one area and then you make guidelines and make sure it's accurate. So this is a drawing of Taylor Swift. And I also did Alaprima's study called Champagne Problems. And then they also teach you, their specialty is the mixed media. So I would start with like colored pencils, graphite sketch. I would also use watercolor crayons, and also markers. You could also do that. So this is like the underlayer, and then I finished up the artwork into this. So I kind of brought my love for impasto, impressionism, brushwork into this piece. So they provided me with like solid foundation to create. I didn't have the structure, and they gave it, to me. This is Braving Through. The Reading Hospital had their first ever employee art show, and I wanted to kind of highlight the staff that I worked with, what we went through, how we all were kind of moving forward, but also resilient in this time. So this is kind of what I came up with. For that. Thank you. But I kind of went MIA in the program because I just kind of fell in love with landscapes again, and also palette knife. And I remember the program kind of pushes you to kind of go beyond your comfort zone and help you find your own voice. I think they told me that, this is Impressionism. Everyone's done Impressionism. You should try to branch out. And I think a lot of me was resisting that. And I kind of just ghosted and said bye. I think maybe I just felt shame or whatever. And I should have talked to them, especially because I paid the program. I paid the entire program. So don't get financial advice from me. So this is November Cadence. This is the one that won Curator's Choice at Studio B in their Flora and Fauna. So this is another one. Very rough, very rigid also, just from palette knife. I think at this time I was really in love with the Quiller wheel. It's kind of it's a painter who kind of made its own color wheel. I didn't add it into my the presentation, but I highly suggest that you look it up. And then I did landscapes in oil. This is supposed to be a video, but yes, I don't have time for the. Oh. So I would always start with like colored underlayer with like either yellow or orange. I would completely cover the whole white and then just build off from the brush strokes. I would start general and then more specific. So I did a lot of short form and long form content. You could reuse and recycle your content, share them different ways, have fun, be goofy with it, be crazy, and be authentically you. And then I joined Art Plus Gallery. They're great because every 2 months they change their whole gallery, and you can't repeat, a painting in a certain time, so you're forced to create a lot of work. And then I gained new set of friends, new connections. It's great because it's right at the West Reading, in the middle of West Reading on Penn Avenue. And then I also participated in their challenges. I did 30 for 30 challenge. So I kind of experimented with paper and collage. So I would do like abstract work. I would do like a whole page of all abstract, and I would cut them into like small pieces and then do whatever kind of crazy things with them. You can pass that around. So they do like a 30 for 30 challenge where every day in January they create an artwork, and then in February they put it in a gallery exhibit. So you're forced to create, you're forced to polish. It gives you a structure, pushes you to keep creating and maintain momentum, and then helps you consistently create. So I would like cut these into little things, and I would add like vinyl, lyrics, sheet music, and then I would use like an adhesive, like a gloss varnish adhesive. So I felt that like using abstract layers, some effects Impasto just can't achieve. So things like this. Not pen, laser pointer. So things like this, it's very difficult to achieve this with Impasto brush strokes, which is what I love. And then like this one is one of my favorites. It's Hopeful Fragments. This is one of my charcoal sketches, and then I would put the abstract paper on top of it and just put it, assemble it in different ways. This is another one, Ricochet of Tears. So I cut up my Taylor Swift vinyl lyrics, added this into here, and I cut up one of my drawings. I saved the best pieces of the drawings and then added into this. And then, so the 30 for 30 challenge was really helpful because, you're creating a lot of work and you're starting the year, like by February, you already made 30 artworks. It's just kind of amazing. And then, then we exhibited that. I also started another series called The Beauty of Fractured Dreams. I was very inspired by statues and florals, and I find different ways to juxtapose them together. Here's another one, The Last Kiss. And then The Winged Victory. This is the statue I told you about that is in display at the Louvre. So I kind of painted that. And Hiding Away. Profile. don't have to worry about symmetry. I love using complementary colors, orange and blue. If you put them next to each other, they stand out. The shattering. So this is kind of like a broken sculpture, and then you could also see the little mixed media hidden. I always try to make several layers visible, all the way from the underlayer, even from the very first layer. That helps give it dimension and depth, and helps to guide, the lines. It gives more interest. So this was from a reference photo, and this is all abstracted pieces.
Can I ask a question? It's mixed media. What are the different mediums?
So acrylic, and then I would say, I think this is colored pencil. I would also use water-based spray paint as well at times. Yes, water-based spray paint. Or is it acrylic? I'm not sure which one. And then this would be like acrylic. And then I would finish up with like an oil glaze and then oil. Portrait of a Tortured Poet. So this is Taylor Swift's one of her albums. So I kind of just painted it like this, and I left the rest abstract. This one is inspired by kintsugi, the Japanese art of breaking something to make it beautiful. So what I did is I would paint the face, and then I would do the opaque white to create the cracks. So that way you're making sure that it's accurate. Yes, that, and like that it's proportional as well. And this one, I kind of wanted to paint someone who is madly in love with a statue. And like it's so intense that it's turning her world upside down. So like while I was painting this, I had some abstracted elements, and then I noticed this kind of upside down house that kind of just came very naturally and organically. So I kind of leaned heavily into that. I added like the door and the windows. This one is a statue, and then I did some stencils, and then I used the water-based spray paint to do this effect. Then everything else is acrylic and also oil. And then we exhibited that at the June, the Arts on the Avenue. And then what I'm working now is I'm working on 24 paintings of variations of irises. I wanted to see, I loved Van Gogh's irises, so I wanted to paint them, and I wanted to see whether my paintings would be the same or different. I'm currently at number 11, and I'm going to share them with you now. And for every painting that I did, I would try a different composition, a different focus, or a different color palette. So this is the first one. This is the second one. Focusing on the complementary color of yellow and purple. And I made sure that there are guiding lines, helps you kind of move around the painting. That's that. This one is terrible, I feel, because it's too dark. I wanted to paint monochromatically. For this painting, I did like ultramarine blue, titanium white, and Mars black, and an underlayer of orange. And I wanted to challenge myself and see if I could handle it. And I was just like, I can't do it. So if I'm working on a painting and if it doesn't resonate with me, if I really don't like it, I'm not going to try and force it to be a finished piece. No, I'll just make a new one. I could maybe in time. I could possibly, yeah. But I just felt like this, I can't. I'd rather spend my effort working on something else than something new. This is the fourth one. I wanted to do like cool color, kind of wintry color. I have a video here, but I don't think it's loading. This is the fifth one. I wanted to paint with a big focus, like a strong singular upfront iris, kind of like how Georgia O'Keeffe would do, like zoom up kind of. Yes, that could be something I would try next. Yeah, much closer. Yep. And then I ended the piece with cold wax to bring these textures. Um, I don't know if I kind of mixed it wrong because it ended up being looking too matte and it kind of dull the colors. So just watch out for that if you're using cold wax. This one I wanted to paint kind of with water on the irises. This one is kind of not finished. It's a smaller piece. It's 8 by 10. This is the 9th one. So I wanted to do a more complicated kind of iris. I think this is a bearded iris. I'm not sure. So this is kind of what came out. I would start, actually I have my process a bit later. This is, I wanted to kind of, I think what I found was missing with this piece is everything was kind of separate on their own. They weren't connecting. Like, do you know what I mean? Whereas here, there's more integration, there's more play, there's more, like this leaves are here, there's this leaves here, and then these lavenders, some are in the back, some are up front. So, and I also kind of wanted to challenge myself with conflicting focal points. So this is my focal point, and then I also kind of wanted something cut through it. So that's how I could, there's a different element for every kind of variation that I made. And then this is my most recent one. I just finished this last week, kind of incorporating everything that I've learned. Like this leaves are forward, this leaf here is in the back. And I wanted to tighten up my brush strokes and really make sure that these are in the back with a different set of cool colors. And I also made sure that my brushwork this time is very intentional, colorful, and also spontaneous at the same time. So yeah. So and there actually and the other series I'm working on now is I went to a ballet for the first time this year. So I've been very inspired by ballet. So that is what's that? Oh. So this is kind of my process. I would start very loose gestural, and then I would sketch, and then I would build up from that. So this is an unfinished piece. I would eventually add more acrylic, and then add some glazing and some oils at the end. So I wanted to share that with you so you could see that. So my struggles and failures, inconsistency with creating. I abruptly left without notifying the school or talking to my mentor. Sometimes I also let social media metrics dictate my worth, which is, something you have to watch out for once you're posting on social media. I also have another job as a safety net. So I'm not really I feel like if I could give 100% in my art, what would I be able to accomplish? Would I also be able to survive that financially? And I've also felt that some of my paintings felt rushed. So what I'm doing now is I'm making sure that every 4x4 inch of my paintings are polished, cohesive, and the way that I want. So that's what I'm working on now. My wins, I kept creating artwork. I was resilient in tough times, and I also adapted to trends and what other artists are doing. So my process, I would used to just do acrylics using brushes and fingers, and then I would this is a more updated version of that. And this would be a general overview of my current process. So I would do acrylics, a loose underlayer, and I start very general. I would use a reference photo, and then I would just continue building up the brush strokes, do some mixed media elements, just experiment, see what I like, and then eventually kind of create, then destroy, then create, then destroy, then create. And then I would fill the entire canvas. And then I would finish with oil and impasto, making sure to let the previous layers shine through just to give it some depth and color. But that finish is that process, there's more to do now, aside from just signing. I also take photographs. I kind of do a little photo shoot with it, and then I would post it and promote it. So like I would post this on Facebook with one of Taylor Swift's lyrics, and then I would also film it and put it on YouTube. Yeah. So techniques to try from this era is join a challenge, document your process relentlessly, share on social media. You could also create a 12-piece series exploring a new medium or technique. You could also create a 12-piece series around a single theme, study one artwork and critique it, build a schedule, set a minimum goal of creating. Like one painting a week or one artwork a week is my minimum. I have to create that. And then you could also combine two things you love into one painting and have a photo shoot with your art. So here's some techniques. Leave your workplace tidy, have a dedicated art space and time, keep your sketchbook open, and always have a work in progress. I have 4 paintings that are works in progress right now. Brainstorm every day, just write down all of your ideas before they fly and go away. Do studies. If you're having creative blocks, change the scale, change the tool, change the subject. Keep a mantra and prioritize your physical and mental health. So a mantra that I use, which you guys can use as well, is every minute I spend creating, I create magic. So that forces me, make sure you're not wasting your time. But also prioritize your physical and mental health. That's important. So marketing, share the process and the journey, document as much as you can, but make sure it doesn't hinder your artistic process. Sell the sizzle, not the steak. I mean, if you think about like perfume commercials, you don't know what that perfume is like, but they always, they always show like beautiful people and like, excellent at cars. It's kind of the same with marketing too. How can you use that to your advantage? Engage with the audience, cast your net wide, your digital footprint lasts forever, and find and use your own advantages. Ask yourself, what value do you bring? What type of content feels natural? Which social media platform makes you feel energized? And would you follow yourself online? And be honest, would you watch or would you read what you're posting? And selling, celebrate every sale, make your buyers feel special, offer multiple price points. This was me at the Fall Fest. I was selling bookmarks, pens, notebooks, originals, and prints. And be confident in your work and your pricing. And I'm going to finish with this quote, everything excellent is as difficult as it is rare. If you're struggling in your art, or if the techniques and tips that I've kind of showed you is too difficult, please know that it is not a condemnation of your skill or you as a person. It is confirmation that you're on the right path towards excellence and mastery. Struggling means you care and that you are going beyond the limits of what you can do. Mastery isn't handed out like gifts, it is earned. And I hope my presentation and my story will help you on your journey towards excellence and mastery. Thank you. That's all.